Well, hello there, I'm Détroit. Today I will show you my approach to painting this picture using Photoshop and a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet. I'm going to comment while watching the process along with you. We're gonna get started, but before, do subscribe and click all the links in the description. And keep watching until the end, because that's only half of the finished drawing. Like, literally. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go! I started this drawing, as always, without any idea of what to draw. I used the same inking brush I always use and traced a large circle. I haven't drawn a face in a really long time, so that's why I turned the circle into a comical face. Now that I think about it, that character looks a bit like Gru from Despicable Me. I spent a few minutes on the face, and then I immediately decided that I didn't want to draw like that. You know me, I always want to learn something new, and I don't think I ever tried to properly paint on Photoshop. I did the warm ice canyon a month ago, but I think it's still too digital looking to be called painting. So I started by laying out flats for my lineless painting. I turned down the opacity of the lines and put some colors in there. I chose the colors at random, but as you will see, I keep the same colors throughout. So I put down a head, eyes, nose and ears on the same layer, which was a mistake. Then I used the eraser to harden the contours. The brush I'm using is great and I love its texture, but I wanted all the shapes to be well defined and not like spill around, you know? So at that point I had already decided that the head would be perfectly spherical. That's important for the shape of the eyes, because the eyes are like flattened balloons, so depending on the angle they're resting on the head, they will look more or less like ellipsoids. For the rest of the features, I just wanted them to be clean. I also decided to draw a mouth as well, but I didn't want the mouth to stick out, but rather to go in, like a hole in the face, which is, I guess, what a mouth is supposed to be. And now I'm fumbling around. I'm creating layers and copy-pasting all the features on different layers. I told you it was a mistake to do it all on the same. You can note that I didn't name any of the layers. Again, that's another mistake for later. I also took away the lines now because I didn't need them anymore and I wanted to have a lineless painterly piece. For that, I went in the Kyle Webster's brush mega pack and found the brush called Soft Serve Big Canvas, I believe. I never go to the mega pack when I need a brush. I have other brushes I love and okay, I'll admit it. I have no idea how to use 99% of Kyle's brushes and I'm kinda scared to try them. Anyway, with this canvas textured brush, I sampled the base color of the head and picked a darker tone. On the clipping mask, I shaded a side of the head to make it look three-dimensional. After that, I tried to erase part of the mouth for a bit because I wanted a gradient to indicate the progression of depth. So as you can see, despite my best efforts, that didn't really work. And when something doesn't work and it's not crucial to do at this very moment, well, you switch to something else. So now I wanted to add light to the head sphere on the opposite end to the shadow. So I played a bit with gradients, but then I remembered I wanted a painterly feel, and gradients feel very artificial. I still kept the gradient, but now as you can see I'm sampling from it to make a gradient on my own with my brush. You can do that by simply sampling the color, where the front color fades into the back color, and then by doing that progressively you get a softer and softer gradient. I didn't bother going too soft, cause I like the texture. So now I'm shading the different parts of the face. I started with the eyes, so now it's helping me define their shape. It should be obvious from it that the eyes are bulging out of the sphere, right? I don't know, but man, that texture on the brush, I really like it. And it is indeed soft and with a big canvas, like the name implied. Now is when I went back to the mouth to add the impression of depth. By going back and forth with dark and light, I achieved a pretty good result, I think. Same with the shading on the nose. I then added black on the eyeballs. No, that's the wrong layer. I think I changed what they look like later on anyway. So now I'm going in with a bit more shading because I had the aspect I wanted, but the image was way too simple. So now it's the ear, now the nose. Ah, you see, I changed the position of the eye. No, what's it called? The iris, yes. Ooh, and now I'm making the background. I can't let Planet Head float in the white void of the Photoshop canvas. And I didn't have enough of this brilliant texture, so I put a background there. Again, with the gradient thing, I color picked and painted around the bunch to have a smooth but defined transition around the head. I fumbled for a bit with the shadows and then realized there was no use to put it behind the head because the light source was obviously in front and to the side. So pay more attention to your light source, people. That saves time. Okay, now I'm adding useless details again. A few lines around the features to make it more interesting. They don't add anything to it, I was just looking for inspiration at the time. And we're back. I cut out a small part where I redid the shadows on the eyes and then my computer crashed and I had to redo it. Luckily, I had saved a few minutes before Photoshop stopped. So at this point I was pretty happy with the feel of the piece, but the top half of the sphere was overcrowded compared to the bottom half, especially the mouth. I liked the depth impression, but it was green on green, so I added teeth. Nice white teeth, not at all creepy. So now I'm trying to make sense of the layers and where I put the mouth gradient in relation to other clipping masks. So then I just erased the gradient wherever it was above the teeth, so they would appear on top. Oh yeah, and one tooth was too big, so I moved it down a notch and I redrew the lighter green behind it. Okay, now what am I doing? Adding shadows to the teeth? I don't really remember that. Man, it looks dirty and terrifying. And that's only half of the full drawing, so please keep watching until the end. I swear it's going to be worth it. I didn't show the full drawing in the intro. So because the mouth was green on green, even with the teeth, I added a bit of color correction in there. I settled for an orange because, you know, why not? I have picked all the other colors at random and orange wasn't one of them. I would say the only color I didn't pick randomly was white. And the background blue because I wanted the same color as the nose. Okay, now I'm resizing the canvas. It should get interesting pretty soon then. Ah, nope. Moving the circular light gradient so that it makes more sense with the shadow. Yes, now we're getting to the crux of this drawing process. At this point, I am wondering, what if I split the head in half? I used the lasso tool on half of the head, down the middle of the nose and the mouth. Even a tooth got split in two. By holding shift while using the lasso tool, you can add more shapes to the one selection. That's pretty useful for a precise selection like this one. I was so used to imagining a sphere that I was almost disappointed to see the blue background behind when I moved half of the head away. Okay, so now you're gonna see a lot of layers work. Because obviously I split the head on 2 layers, but I have to fill the space between so that the right half remains on top. And I also mostly want to keep the left side intact, so at first I drew behind it. I filled the blank space with solid dark green because it has to be darker since the light is blocked by the right half. Next up is drawing the cross sections for the different parts, like teeth and nose, before also remodeling the mouth hole. Honestly, this painting is a bit terrifying. First off, the face isn't inspiring a lot of trust, and now it's cut in half with the brain? At this point I decided to delete whatever was hidden behind the right side of the face to avoid confusion. It's really easy to mess up your layers order and find yourself having to put something on top of a layer, but behind another layer that's already at the bottom. Like, you know what I mean, and this is what happened with the added lighting I'm drawing right now. And also at some point, because of different selections, the teeth shapes reappeared when they were not supposed to. I really need to organize my layers better to avoid having to do that. Now, you see that flash? That's me trying to find the right sort of layer effect. I also realize now that I forgot to add the shadow of the right part of the nose. Ah well. Now then, it's a bit more tweaking of opacity and stuff, and we should almost be at the last step. To end the drawing, I added a thin grey line inside the head to outline the separation of the different features. And that's when I discovered that a tooth unexpectedly grew back, which left me confused for a while. And that's it. It was somewhat of a short drawing, but a really interesting one. Again, I don't usually paint, although the term paint has to be taken lightly. But mostly I really like this drawing for the vibrant colors that are actually not too bad together. And also because now I can do that. It's so creepy, I love it. I hope you enjoyed the process. If you did, the best way to tell me is to click like, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe. As always, this drawing is going to be posted to my Instagram at d3_sd and probably on Twitter and Reddit as well. You can also click on the end card to see my other digital drawings. I'm D3 and I'll see you soon. Bye!